Okay, so we want to do an example of finding the empirical and molecular formulas of a substance when the only information you have is something about the percentage. Okay, so our question here is: a hydrocarbon is known to be made up of 85.7% carbon by mass. The molar mass of the compound is 48 grams per mole, and we need to find the empirical formula and the molecular formula of this hydrocarbon. Okay, so we know that hydrocarbons are made up of just carbon and hydrogen. Okay, so what we do when the information that we're given is simply a percentage, is we just convert that into grams. Okay, so we assume that we might have a 100 gram sample, and in a 100 gram sample we know we would have 85.7 grams of carbon, and hydrogen would obviously be 100 minus 85.7 grams, which would be 14.3 grams of hydrogen. Okay, our next step is to convert that into moles. So our moles of carbon is going to be 85.7 divided by 12. So that is going to be 7.1417 moles, and hydrogen will be 14.3 divided by 1, which is just 14.3 moles. Okay, at this point, remember that empirical formula just means the simplest whole number ratio. So to find that, you divide by the smallest amount in mole we've got. So here, our smallest amount in mole is just the 7.1417. Okay, so we're going to divide by that. We are going to get 1 to 2. You see how this is double the 7.14? So our empirical formula is going to be CH2. So for every 1 carbon, we have 2 hydrogens. Now the second part of this question was to find the molecular formula, and we're told that the molar mass is 48 grams per mole. So to work this out, we say, well, if our empirical formula was the actual formula, what would the molar mass be? And the molar mass would be 12 plus 2, which is 14 grams per mole. Okay, and then we need to say, well, we know it's actually 28 grams per mole. How do we get from 14 to 28? And the answer is that we times it by 2. So remember, empirical formula just means simplest whole number ratio, but the molecular formula means the actual ratio that you've got going on. Okay, so we know that we have to times our empirical formula by 2 to get the right molar mass. Okay, so our molecular formula, we're timesing the empirical formula by 2, we're going to get C2H4. And that is how you find the empirical formula and molecular formulas, just by having information about the percentages.